Hey everybody, I'm Marie Bard Curtis with the Quilted Poodle. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I change the leaders on my Longarm quilting frame. My quilting frame is 12 feet long and my leaders are 134 inches wide. I decided to change out the Start Right cloth leaders that I got when I originally purchased my Longarm with canvas leaders. Over the years, the cloth has stretched a little bit, and now I'm very interested in using zippered leaders. So I decided to switch them out with canvas leaders that I made myself. So I purchased on Amazon some canvas that is 12 by 15, but in reality it says that the finished size is approximately 11 by 14. And this is just a regular drop cloth. And so what I'm going to do is cut this in lengths so that I can replace the leader on the take-up rail, on the quilt backing rail, and also on the quilt top rail. But in addition to creating zippered leaders, I'm also going to create a pocket so that I can still use my red snappers if I'd like to. To complete this project, you will need to purchase canvas, either from the fabric store or from Amazon. You'll also need leader zippers, and I also purchased some more hook and loop tape. My original leaders were attached to my rails by hook and loop tape, and I intend to duplicate that as well. I'm going to open my canvas up and I'm going to cut leaders for each of the rails that I talked about, keeping in mind that for each leader that I create, I need to add a zipper to it and then add another bit of fabric on the other side of the zipper that I can attach to my quilt top or quilt backing. And then I've decided that I want to make my leaders a little bit longer. The Start Right leaders, one of the leaders was 27 inches, one was 20 inches, and then one was like 7 inches. I would like all of my leaders to be the same length, probably about 20 inches. And then putting the zipper on and then adding another maybe 1 to 2 inches so that I can attach my quilt backing, quilt top to the leader. I'm going to attach my zippers to my leaders by using my long arm. So I'm going to put on my ruler base, my ruler foot, and then move the salvage edge of the leader right next to the zipper and then run a stitch all the way across. I'll start in the middle. I'm going to use the channel locks that I've put on my Juki long arm. I'm going to finish off the side of all of my leaders with the serger. And then I also have those salvage ends that I'm going to attach to the zipper. So I'm going to get busy sewing and cutting. Because I want my leaders to be 20 inches in length, I'm going to measure from the edge of the leader up 20 inches and mark it. And now my one edge is a salvage edge, so it is finished. And that's the edge that's going to attach to the zipper, measuring up 20 inches. And I have the leader folded in half, so I will be cutting more than one at a time. And then I'm going to connect these marks using a ruler and a rotary cutter to cut my leader 20 inches long. I will serge the edge, sew on my hook and loop tape on one end, and sew the zipper to the other end. So after I have my canvas marked, I can just come through with my ruler make sure it lines up with the marks and use my rotary cutter and cut. And then I'll go on to the next step, which will be to serge the raw edges and then get ready to attach the zipper. And here I just follow along with my rotary cutter to make the perfect cut. Now I'm going to begin serging my leader. This is the salvage end, which is finished. Now I'm going to sew down the short end and then turn it and then sew down the long length of the leader. I've got a nice serged edge all the way around. All right, I am ready to sew on my hook and loop tape on this end, and then I will be attaching the zipper along the selvage end. So I've measured out the right amount of hook and loop tape. So I'm going to stitch once along this edge, and then I'll turn it under, and then stitch again along this edge. I will clip off the excess hook and loop tape. Now that I've sewn down my loop tape, I'm going to turn it over and then stitch this end down. I'm just folding it down, and I'll stitch along this edge. A little bit of back tacking to make sure it holds. Now for the fun part of this project. I get to take off my old leaders and attach my new leader. I've marked the center point of my leader, and I'm going to place that on the center point of my rail. Let's take off the old leader. Now, finding the center point of my new leader, I will put that on the center point of the rail. And then I'll begin attaching my new leader from the center out to the left. And then the center out to the right. And the hook part of the hook and loop tape was already attached to the rail, so I only had to sew on the loop part onto my new leader. I'll bring my long arm down towards the center, and I'm going to take my leader, take it under the dead bar, and lay it on my ruler base, and then I'll attach the zipper. But I'm also going to attach the clamps to either end of my leader so that there'll be a little bit of tension on it to help hold it in place while I stitch on the zipper. I did mark the center point of my zipper, and I've aligned that with the center point on my 0 measuring tape. So I'm going to start at the center and sew out to the right. I'm going to engage my channel lock, my horizontal channel lock, so it'll go along a straight line, and then my job is to try to keep the zipper and the leader together. So I'll try to keep my fingers out of the way so I don't stitch myself to my leader. And now I'm going to be using precise mode at 11 stitches per inch. And I'm going to use needle down, so that will give me a little more stability. I'm not really sure how I'm going to place my hands to keep them out of the way, but we'll give it a whirl. So I'll do a couple locking stitches and then off I go. So I have my leader connected to the clamps down at the end, and I'm kind of holding my leader and zipper taut. Oops, it's going a little crooked. Maybe I can follow along with my fingers and keep it in place. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to hold the zipper in place. Sure which hand I want to use to I should be careful. I still have my machine moving. I'm going to sew right off to the end. Tack it down nice and good. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go back to the center. And now that it's been attached already, it shouldn't be so hard to stitch. It should be pretty straight. It's getting a little close to my zipper teeth. Okay, just wanted to check my stitches underneath there, and they're looking pretty good. So it's just a matter of like kind of pulling the leader towards you. So I'm finding that you have to keep a constant tension on your leader so that the leader doesn't move, even though the channel lock is holding the needle and the head of the machine horizontally. Whew, that wasn't too bad. All right, so now I've got to tack it down and go to the left. Let's see how well we can do. Stitch right to the end there. Okay, so the reason why you want to have your zipper just a little bit longer than your leader is if you were trying to sew up against the zipper pull, that would be very difficult. So now I'm going to stitch back to the center, and then I'll be done with this. Okay. Put a little tension on my fabric. There we go. I made it back to the center. All right. One set of zippers are attached. So now what I'm going to do is come back with my shorter bit of fabric, and this will be the piece of fabric that my quilt backing will be attached to. So let me just get one of those. And of course I have to mark the center. And so you will be doing the same thing for each of your leaders, the one that attaches to the take-up rail, to the belly bar, and also to the quilt top rail. The largest part of your leader will be velcroed to the bar, and then the zipper, and then the shorter piece of fabric that you attach your quilt backing and your quilt top to. I decided to make 2 interchangeable strips of fabric that can be attached to the other half of the zipper, which is attached to the leader. I wanted to leave open the possibility that I could sew a pocket in the end for the rod to my red snappers. Then if I didn't want to use the red snappers, I could simply unzip that attaching strip of fabric and replace it with the other strip of fabric with the zipper half attached. With this piece of fabric, I can either baste, stitch, pin, or even staple my quilt backing or quilt top to the leader. I'll show you how I did that. As you can see, I have my leader attached to the take-up rail with hook and loop tape. And the larger leader comes down and is connected to the zipper. And then my smaller piece of fabric is zipped to that. I have sewn a pocket in the smaller piece of fabric to hold the tubing for my red snapper. And if I was attaching my backing, I would just put my fabric here and then put the clamp on, and that would hold it perfectly. But if I choose not to use the red snappers and I want to use another method of connecting, all I have to do is unzip this piece of fabric down here. And my red snapper attachment is removed. I'll then take my other piece of fabric, which has a corresponding zipper, and attach it. And I will zip that all along the way, and then to this end I will be attaching my backing fabric, and I can either sew it, baste it, pin it, or even staple it to my leader. And that way I can change them out. I also have an extra one of these with another zipper, so if I'm working on more than one quilt at a time and I need to replace one of those quilts or move one of those quilts around, I'm able to just unzip it, take it off, and put my other zippered portion on. And then I can connect another quilt. So I have options here. I can either use my red snappers, or I can use just the plain piece of fabric and choose my method of attachment. And then if I need to, I can switch that out as many times as I need to. Sometimes you're doing custom quilting, and that takes a little bit longer than the edge to edge. So if you have to get a quilt out quickly or you have a rush quilt, just unzip it, attach your fabric, and off you go. Give the zippered leaders a try. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and God bless.